Sometimes, like all of us, I need a little rebalancing. And I'm lucky because I've got my camera to help me do that. I'm also very lucky because I've got my long-suffering beloved who doesn't mind when I go, "Hey, I've got an idea." Well, this was a blimmin' good idea. One of my best. So yes, it did involve a 2:30 start, driving from the south coast of England to this glorious place, but by heck, it was worth every second. So after 24 hours at the Ellerdere Falls, we ended up at this glorious location.
Good morning and welcome to Branyai Brehenyog. I am at the Blaenau Glyn waterfall area. Hope I pronounced that right. Having spent a lovely night in the van, I have waterproofed myself today because the weather forecast is pretty poor. We're actually at a foot of a lovely stretch of river which has a number of smallish waterfalls on it. So today we're just going to explore, hopefully stay dry and get a few shots. And this is the bridge that marks the start and finish point of my journey today as I meander my way up that there river.
Okay, so I'm a couple of weeks prior to autumn in its fullest coat, but I have to say it was now that I needed my mental rebalance. And crikey, didn't it provide that in buckets.
But when I'm looking at the water level, it seems to be a little bit low for me to see them in their full glory. However, we shall make the most of it, and you never know, I might even get some intimate shots.
The first fall you come across is just darned impressive. And of course I would decide to paddle my way on the slippiest of rocks to the other side, determined to get the shot that I had in my head. Yeah, currently in my head.
I confess, I think that this is possibly the nicest waterfall I've seen for a long time. The ones at Ellerdere, they're spectacular. It's just small and really, really nice.
But it's not till you look through my camera that you realise quite how nice. What I see is actually wider than what I'm videoing, and playing with positioning with that foreground elements is really quite exciting. And I think this could be a contender for my favourite shot of the year, although I'm fully aware that part of that is because it was such a lovely surprise in finding it. It's so difficult sometimes to separate the emotions from the shot. This is the raw photo, and you'll see on the left hand side I have clipped some blacks. This year I've worked really hard on trying to make my editing of waterfalls more powerful, using dodging and burning and warming where appropriate to guide the eye through the photo. A few metres back allowed me to vary the foreground and take out the dominance of the waterfall on the left hand side. However, I don't love it as much. On my way back to gather my kit, I spotted this. Okay, it's very similar to the first, but from a higher angle. I'm liking the fact that I can see through to the top, but I think there's too much gap in the middle. I know, I'm a fussy mare. Aside from those fabulous waterfalls, it was interesting to see the fungi that was around. Where I live, this year, it's been a pretty poor show. Bit of a wipeout for photographers, really.
When I first arrived at this waterfall, I thought, yeah, it's okay, we'll work with it. But by goodness, when you put your polarizer on and you cross the other side of the waterfall, there are several different branches of water coming on. It just looks really good. I actually think I've got something I'm quite proud of there. And I know I'm sounding surprised, but sometimes a waterfall's a waterfall's a waterfall, but that's got personality. I varied my speed between 0.25 and 0.4 of a second. 0.4, unusually for me, was actually working a lot better. 0.4 of a second just seemed to have the perfect amount of movement, foreground and background, which means it doesn't really have to blend in post, thank goodness. Right, this is my next waterfall. If I go to the left on the opposite bank, I lose the ability to see up the top of the stream. So now realistically I just need to work out whether or not I can stay up this height so I can see the bottom of that middle waterfall, or whether actually going a little bit lower is helpful because it minimises the gap. I've just got to work out a happy balance. I honestly was not expecting this location to be as fruitful. It is, as the crow flies, about 20 metres from what I've last shot.
Now you know me, if I had the choice I'd be in that water. Problem was, it was far too powerful and deep. And because of that I couldn't get the actual angle I needed. Boo. It's just as best as I could do. It was most unsatisfactory, so basic edits only.
This is lovely, but there's a problem. Because I shot the one about 20 metres that way, and it was so visually exciting. This is just a bit meh, well. So I've taken a few shots and on to the next lot. Any other time, I'd have been here for ages, and my long-suffering beloved will have truly earned his title.
Oh, this is rather lovely. Nice foreground elements, bits of stuff to play with. Yep, this is far more like it. And some rather lovely colour in those there ferns. And lo, some foreground water movement. I feel a double exposure coming on. For this shot, the base photo was the long exposure. I brushed through some texture on the foreground waterfall, and a tiny bit in the background too. Now this is the big waterfall. This is probably the one they call Blarney Glyn, to be fair. And I'd like to thank the Forth Wade Bridge Scouts for making my afternoon. You were brilliant.
I think that this is the main Blarney Glyn waterfall, and it's fabulous. I'm trying to get similar speeds with it going down like this either side of this rock. I know it's a bit dominant, but it's working quite well. Just like hugging the camera. That sounds rubbish. Hugging the camera. Can't believe I said that.
I'll be honest, it was magnificent. But I think it was more magnificent to be there and experience it than photograph it, just under these conditions. Been inspired to come here by another photographer's work. My goodness, he doesn't half know how to do a waterfall. But no matter what I did, I couldn't get anything that I really loved. These are Martin's shots from this location. I'm sharing them prior to mine for one reason. The personality that he's managed to bring out in this fall, I just couldn't get. This is my version. The hug. While it's not a disaster, no amount of editing was going to make it have the visual impact of Martin's. And then it hit me. This was the shot that made me want to get my backside down to Blarney Glyn. It's Martin's, of course. But what I'd done was inadvertently tried to transpose the shape of his, the style of his, into my own work. I wasn't trying to be me, I was trying to be him. And the shots that I'm really proud of from this day, well, that was me, because I had no expectations. I've realised that every now and then I become so inspired by a photographer's work that I internalise it and try and emulate it. Now, when I do this and it's subconscious, that's when I tend to mess up. I tend to disappoint myself. But when I purposely sit back and analyse what it is about that person's work that really makes it, I consciously choose to learn something, to apply a lesson to my own work, and that's where I have far more success. I'm being authentically Louise Welcome, not always a good thing.
Thankfully, the 90% rain didn't materialise today, and the uniform greyness has meant that I've been in control of the light, as opposed to me having to dodge out of various places so that I can avoid reflections. The only filters that I have needed have been the little stopper on rare occasions when I've wanted to do some very long exposures, up to 30 seconds with a little stopper because it's been so dark, and a girl's best friend, her circular polarising filter. So it is time to wend my way back to the car, find a hostelry for lunch, and just relax. After all, I did sell it that this was a bit of a break.
I'm so grateful for Martin for allowing me to share his work today, but also for the first inspiration as well. He and Trevor Sherwin, who I featured in my last Wales video, have absolutely transformed my approach to waterfall photography this year, and until now, neither of them would know it. I'd love to know who's really inspired you this year. Let me know in the comments so I can have a look too.
Well, thank you for joining me today at a place that I hadn't heard of until a few weeks ago, but it's blown me away. Wherever I am next time, I very much look forward to taking you with me. Goodbye.